So I saw Top Gun. I think I just caught it kind of scrolling through the channels when I was about 13, I think. And it was just one of those movies where I kind of caught it and I was like, tried not to pay too much attention, or I was trying to figure it out. And then I just was sucked in. And then for me and, all my buddies, it was a big deal. I think I was probably about 13. I mean, working with Tom, I was saying I wish that everybody in every position in our business, but even outside this business, I don't care if you work like in a cubicle, have Tom Cruise just like with you on set or in your office, wherever it is, and you will just run through a brick wall. I mean, he really is. He his work ethic, I had heard so much about, but when you see it in person, it's just like it's yeah, it's just amazing. And also, people say there's only 24 hours in a day, and I don't think that's true for Tom. I don't think he works on a clock. I think it's just constant energy. So I play Rooster. Rooster is the son of Goose, of Goose's character, Anthony Edwards, Meg Ryan, and he's a fighter pilot. He's like all the pilots that get called in to try out for this new mission. We've already went through Top Gun. We're all Top Gun pilots. We're the best of the best, and then we get called in, and it's for a secret mission. We don't know who's going to teach us, and of course, it's none other than Tom Cruise, called sign Maverick, and he's the guy who's going to push us to our limits. The training for this film was really really unique, and I will never do it again unless we make another Top Gun sequel. But there was months and months of flight training where we were going multiple times a week to build up our G tolerance, build up our familiarity within the aircraft, understand the aircraft, understand what the pilots are doing, what they're thinking. We also were able to sit in on some meetings at Top Gun, actually with the men and women who do that, and that was really useful, because I think you have an idea maybe of how they carry themselves, and this certain bravado and this kind of alpha thing, and it's really not. I mean, they're so cerebral, they're so incredibly smart, they're so attention to detail, I would say, is what sets them apart. And then with the cast, I think it was just a perfect training because none of us really had any experience in these planes. And when you get up in an F-18 and you feel those G's for the first time, and you know how tough it is, I think you're just really rooting for the person to the right of you and the left of you, and there's no competition. We're all wearing the same flight suit. So I think it was a great bonding experience.
I saw Top Gun, the original, when everybody saw it when it first came out, and was really blown away by the flying. I had never seen anything like that before. And the sequel, I got a call from Joe Kosinski, who I had worked with before on a movie called Only the Brave. I was so excited that he called me and wanted to work with me again because I loved working with him. And then he told me it was for Top Gun. I was so flattered that they considered me for it, and really so excited to be part of it. I play Penny Benjamin, who is mentioned actually in the original Top Gun. She's the Admiral's daughter who Pete evidently had some relationship with before he met Charlie. And they've been in and out of each other's lives over the years. Clearly there was some unresolved business when he first walks into her bar in this film. And I love the way she handles that, with so much humor and playfulness. You can feel her affection for him, but you can also feel that she's, not going to take anything from him. She knows how to set her boundaries. I think she's a really independent, strong woman who runs her own business and is a single mom and goes on adventures. And but is also really warm and loving and clearly cares deeply for him. Originally, when I signed on to do the movie, Penny didn't fly. There were no scenes of her in an airplane, and actually, I was sitting on the tarmac in his plane, Tom's plane, with him, shooting the scene where we're just supposed to be, like on the runway. And he said, "So Jen, you ever been in a P-51 before?" I was like, "No, Tom. Believe it or not, it's just never come up for me before." And he said, "So Jen, you ever done any aerobatic flying before?" I was like, "See, Tom, another thing just never come up for me before." He's like, "Well, it's going to be great. It's going to be very gentle. We're going to do some very gentle rolls." So that's how it came up that I was going to be doing some flying in the movie, which I hadn't anticipated, but I have to say was pretty extraordinary. I think for people who love the original, I think it is, everyone who I know who's seen it says it just, what's the word I'm looking for? Expectations. When it exceeds. Okay, thank you. Everyone I know who has said it, everyone I know who has seen it says that it exceeds expectations. People who love the original. I think that everything it just really delivers in every way. The action, the flying is so much even more visceral and powerful, I think, this time around. And I think it's really emotional. I think that Tom's journey in the film is really moving. So I think that's really strong as well.
Well, like a lot of kids my age, we were kids back then. I was in my teens when the movie came out in the 80s, and it was very highly anticipated by all of us. And in those days, you had to read magazines about what movies were coming out, and this one was definitely on our radar, no pun intended. But we were very excited to see it, and then the movie delivered in every possible way for a 14, 15-year-old moviegoer, that you had to then see it again and again and again. And my hope for this continuation of that story is that there will be another generation of people that want to see this movie again and again and again. Cyclone is the air boss. He is in charge of all of the things that you see on screen, all of the boats and all of the planes and all of the everythings, and therefore has a lot of responsibility to make sure that those things are taken care of and that people don't die and that people don't crash and all of those things. And also there's a mission to be accomplished as well. So this is a person who is set up to be at odds with somebody whose name might be Maverick, and yet he has to understand as well that he both is frustrated by and also needs the skills that Tom's character provides. A lot of the folks in the Navy were very helpful just in explaining, just, obviously a lot of the service branches are very hierarchical. So there's this person who's responsible for this person, and this person is responsible for this person, and they all have little insignias that tell you who they are. But those getting the rundown on all of that was incredibly helpful. But it was also really helpful just to know that I was literally the boss. It's a thrill ride. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. The cinematography and the aerial photography are unseen before. But it's also a surprisingly emotional film. I think that people will be genuinely moved by the continuation of this story and this character, that even if they hadn't seen the first one, that Tom is so good in it that it's a real journey. It's really fun to go on it.
Well, the first time I saw Top Gun, I was blown away. I went out the next day quoting to everybody and annoying everyone who hadn't seen it, which was basically everybody I knew. And over the coming weeks, people started quoting back to me. So it's always been like a huge influence and a movie that I've always loved.
I'm sure. You know, I'm originally from the South Side of Chicago. And I remember when Top Gun came out and everybody from all corners, you know, the city were talking about this great film. And I said, Mom, Dad, I got to go see this Top Gun thing. And they were like, hey, well, what money? But then later it came on cable and I said, oh, I get it. I see what everybody's talking about. I was finally able to join Charles and the others in enjoying it. And sometimes you got to wait, right? But no, you really feel like you were watching something transcendent. You go like, I have never seen these images on screen before. There had never been a military movie like that, ever. And so, yeah, it was like, you know, one of those things that stays in your memory forever.
And over the years, I can't remember ever mentioning that title and someone going, I'm sorry, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's true.
Like, I feel like everyone everywhere knows that title.
They know where they were when they saw it.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, Hondo is, Hondo is actually the same nickname that Kevin McHale had when he was Larry Bird's right-hand man. And I enjoy, you know, to some degree in this film, being Tom's right-hand man. Did we throw basketballs to each other? That's the next question. We didn't. Or was there a basketball on set? There wasn't. There should have been, right? Maybe we could have did a beach basketball scene. You know what I'm saying? To do it for the next one. But, you know, look, I enjoy it. All of us on set, you know, felt like we were making something special. We were trying to live up to the greatness, you know, that is Top Gun. And I think, you know, for my part, my job was really, you know, to be that support and to be that, you know, guy that whenever Tom looks over, he knows I got his back. So I loved playing that.
I loved walking the tightrope between trying to help my guy Maverick get to where he's going and knowing things about him that Cyclone doesn't quite appreciate and trying to translate that throughout the movie.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, like Luther, the Obama anger translator, I was kind of the opposite. I was like the Maverick behavior translator. So he would do something crazy, and then I would put it in English and feed it to Cyclone and try to get him to understand.
Yeah, I mean, I remember from the table read, Tom was telling us all, you know, that the movie can't be as great as it will unless each of us are great. And he really worked hard to do that. And he was talking about the pilots, about some of the training they were going through. And I was making jokes like, you guys, it's just going to be a lot of hard work, but you guys I trust you guys. And then Thomas goes, you got to do some training too. And I was like, wait, what? I did. I actually ended up going to a lot of facilities. You know, we start with the test flights for the experimental aircraft. I actually got the pleasure of going to watch that happen and watching them do, you know, test flights, you know, on the base and things like that. So it was really nice for me to learn more about being a warrant officer and to learn more about making my character more authentic.
Having the Navy as a partner, I have a little experience with that because I was on a show called The Last Ship and we worked with the Navy. So I knew how amazing the Navy was, how helpful they are, how dedicated they are to helping a television show or a film portray life for them. I didn't have as exciting things to prepare for, like flying and things like that, but what I did focus on was what an admiral's actual day is like, what he does, like nuts and bolts. And that was kind of fascinating to find out how mundane things can be, and also the next hour you can be making a decision that will affect thousands of lives.
Wow.
So that was quite an experience to find out just like the day-to-day of an admiral.
Yeah.
Well, I saw Top Gun for the first time when I was a college sophomore, so I was late to the game. As Glen says, I was a late bloomer with no hair on my chest. But
I just think you should have seen Top Gun before.
I absolutely should have, but you know what? It's anyway. I saw it as a college sophomore, and then I fell in love with it, and I was just dying for there to be a sequel, and if there was a sequel, for there to be a role for someone like me, and so when the audition came around, I was just like, I manifested this. It's only here because I dreamed of it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, that could be it. Yeah, manifestation. I saw it when I was a kid, and I believe I was eating Tito's or something like that when it first came on TV.
Drinking Tito's?
Huh? Eating Tito chips.
You eat taquitos, you drink
Taquitos.
Tito's.
That went wrong.
I was like drinking Tito's when you were a kid, bro.
I was. I mean, it's only right. If you're watching Top Gun and you want to be like a Navy pilot, then you're going to drink, okay? Yeah. But yeah, I watched it and I enjoyed it. And to be a part of something that I know that the world loves, it's incredible.
It's interesting because I literally remember the moment that my dad showed me the original Top Gun, and I liken it to like the way that he wanted to play catch for the first time, where it's like, you know, like when a dad's like, here's a baseball and a glove, like, let's do this, buddy. And he literally handed me the Top Gun DVD and was just like, no, it was a VHS at the time. And he was like, hey, we're gonna watch Top Gun together. And I'm like, okay, this guy finds this very important. This is a big moment for my dad. So,
Fine, Dad.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, we'll sit. And you know, I think the special part is the reason he found it so special is he holds this movie with such a special place in his heart, right? And he would look over at me at certain moments to see how I was reacting, being like, oh my God, this is like great, right? And he wants you to love it. And I feel like that's what this, like Top Gun Maverick is to people, is it's this communal experience. You gotta see it with other people. You wanna high five after this movie. Like, you wanna fist bump, you're gonna cry with strangers. Like, it's that kind of movie that really defines why we all kind of got into this business and why we all love the theatrical experience. So, yeah, my dad's gonna be bawling at this premiere. I guarantee you.
He's seen it. No, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't seen it.
Oh, he hasn't seen it.
Did you
No
say that
bloody
he-
way.
he,
I have not shown any of my family this movie.
Wait, time out. So you had your family come to CinemaCon and made them wait outside while the movie
Exactly.
was going on?
Brilliant.
Man,
But-
Hangman, he's ruthless.
Didn't you say that your dad brought up Top Gun and Jurassic Park, and then you picked Top Gun, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I turned down Jurassic Park in order
that's
to
what it
talk.
was.
So if you would have picked Jurassic Park, you would have been in the Jurassic
no,
movies
I think he
instead
still
of.
would have ended up in this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, fanboy is he's a fanboy of all things Navy. He's a fanboy of Maverick. He's a fanboy of the history of aviation.
He's also in the
And
backseat,
he's
rubbing.
He's in the backseat.
Feedback
Yeah.
on the shoulders.
I'm making
he
sure
flies
that he's. Well, they say that the weapon system operator is the brains of the jet, and granted, for the most, I can't really diss you on that because you're in the single seater. So yeah, I could only diss Payback with that, or Phoenix. But we're the smartest people in the entire like always in the room. You know?
Yeah,
I can't even put a sentence together on that.
I think what's really cool is the thing that we learned very quickly when we went to Fallon, which is the home of Top Gun. There's this thing called a call sign review board in which all of your peers, your fellow aviators, give you your call sign. You do not choose a cool call sign that you're like, this is awesome. It's given to you usually by you screwing up or doing a story that does not make you look great. So that's what this camaraderie, this I don't know. I feel like that's what defines the Navy. Is it's all about fun, and we're all in this together, and there's a community that's really hard to describe.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, the whole from day one and still till this day, even rapping Top Gun. I mean, he's been a great friend and a great mentor, somebody you can count on for advice or guidance of the career. And like I said, me being early on in my acting career, he's been the mold of setting the bar high for me to follow, and I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, I think across the board, the entire cast is just these amazing stories of how he's been there for us. Not the moment that the movie wrapped. It didn't end there, and it continued throughout things, other projects, other like whatever ambitions we had of excellence. Whenever you tell him, hey Tom, I'm trying to do this, he's like, all right, do it the best you can, and if you have any questions or need any help, I'm here. And a lot of people say that just as lip service, but Tom's actually been there every single time we've called or sent a text or anything. He's always genuinely there. So it's that genuineness comes through, and it also like drives you to be like, oh shit, like Tom is backing me up with anything, so like let's go.
Glen.
Yeah, I think that's what makes him different. What makes him special is like Tom hasn't lost a bit of he understands where we are. He remembers being where we are in these chairs and looking up and going, what's possible? Where can this go? Yeah. And I also think he never felt like he wasn't in the trenches with us. If we flew 2 flights a day, he would fly 3. If he had to do the water, the helo dunker, he had to do all the things that we had to do, and even more so. So it's not like you have a movie star that's leaving you out to dry. This guy was in lockstep with us every bit of the way, and it's a rare kind of thing to go. We're not just protected on camera; we're protected behind the camera. He's just a true wingman in every way.
I was in college the first time I saw this. I was told by a bunch of dudes that I had to see this movie. They were very adamant about it. And I watched it, and I remember thinking it was great, really fun, and just really cool.
And I was transitioning into becoming an actor at the time, and I remember thinking, that would be so cool to get to be a part of a movie like that, but I never in a million years thought that my place in that would be as a pilot. So this has just been awesome.
And Jay?
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I was 8 or 9 years old, living in Austin, Texas. My dad was in the Air Force, and we were living at Bergstrom Air Force Base in Austin. And we saw it on the base theater, like a packed house with a bunch of Air Force families and pilots and mechanics and all these amazing folks who were there on the base, stationed on the base. And, you know, people were screaming and hollering and like, you know, fist pumping and high fives and tears and the gasp as like the plane is like in a flat spin and like, you know, Goose ultimately passes. And it was just this, you could feel the energy in the room. And, you know, this larger aviation community was clearly wrapping their arms around this film because they felt seen and they felt like their lives were being portrayed up on screen. And I just remember like, this is cool. Like, this is like, I want to do this when I grow up. I want to be an actor. I want to tell stories. If I get to be in Top Gun, that would be amazing as well. Like, whatever I could do to do that, I want to figure it out. And then to get cast in it was just like such a, still feels like it's just a dream. It's a dream.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Top Gun is on TV at every minute of every hour. But I remember seeing it. My family was big on Westerns. And for me, watching Top Gun felt like almost like gunslingers in the sky. And there was this sense of confidence that they all had. I was a pretty shy kid. And it was pretty empowering and inspiring to see these guys just whooping butt up in the skies. And yeah, I just remember being like, all right, I gotta find some blue jeans and a t-shirt and some sunglasses ASAP because these guys are as cool as it gets.
We really bonded in this training experience.
Yeah.
I mean, we all saw each other at our best and at our worst really quick.
I don't know if I ever really got to my worst. I wouldn't say that.
Yeah,
necessarily.
Me neither.
I did. I mean,
it was amazing.
Nobody has. I mean, I think people in the military go through, you know, actual fighter pilots go through this with each other. There's just something that bonds you over these experiences that no one else has ever shared with you. And ours was such a kind of crazy, unique experience because we're doing all these things, but we're not fighter pilots. You know, we're doing our best to portray them, and then. But we're acting in a movie, and no other actors have done anything like this except for Tom. And even Tom, this is, you know, some things we did were like the first time he had ever done that. So, you know, we just had each other in terms of like a community and to share this experience with, and that has, I think, followed us throughout.
Yeah, I think when you're doing stuff that is so like biologically uncomfortable and different from what we are used to, our homeostasis is here on the ground, it's like, yeah, you're up there being just torn around like a cat in a washing machine. It's like, and you're just, I mean, biologically, it's like you could turn your any belly button into an outie belly button. It's so like it turns you inside out. You're just like, what is happening to me right now? And so to experience that together and on the same track that Tom Cruise set us up for success with, this awesome training course, it's like there was nothing better to bond us. I can't imagine. It's an unparalleled bond.
Where's your button now?
My button that's gone now. I don't know what happened to it.
Flew off.
Well, it kind of came together with Joe coming up with a story, and we flew to Paris. Tom was shooting Mission Impossible, and Joe pitched it. He had a lookbook, he had a poster. He based it on the character, on Maverick's character, and he had a poster that said Top Gun Maverick. And Tom, who had been resistant, always wanted to make something that would really be great, but we never quite figured it out. And Joe did. Joe figured out a way to take Tom or Maverick on that character journey, and that's what the story's all about. Right after he finished pitching the story, Tom picks up the phone, calls the head of the studio, and says, "I'm making Top Gun."
Yeah, I mean, it all started with meeting with Jerry Bruckheimer, and I had read a script that they were working on and had some ideas and thoughts, and Jerry said, "We got to go talk to Tom directly." So, yeah, I jumped on a plane to Paris with Jerry and pitched it to Tom, and then we were, that was the beginning. We were off to the races.
That was the best money Paramount ever spent on that plane flight, let me tell you.
Yeah, with Tom, I'd made a movie with him before, and it really is a partnership. Obviously, this is one of his most iconic roles. He knows Maverick better than anyone. He is Maverick. So it was always about what is the emotional journey of the character. Just like the first film, it really is a drama wrapped in a big action movie, and we wanted to do the same thing, but this is a new story. It's in a different phase of his life. There's a whole bunch of new characters that come in. There's a lot of pressure on him as a character. There's a lot he has to overcome, but he's still Maverick, He's still that same guy. He hasn't changed, and it's just fun to see where he's been, what he's doing, and what he's going to do in this film.
Well, Joe spent, I think, 15 months just designing the cameras inside the cockpit. How do you put those cameras in there? How do you get it past the Navy? How do you get it past the lawyers in the Navy? That takes forever. Just to figure it out was brilliant on Joe and his cinematographer, how they did it. And then you have to prepare the actors, and they had to be in for it because it was 3 months that they trained to be able to get an F-18. The first movie, we put our actors in the F-14, and they all threw up. We couldn't use one frame of footage. The only footage we used was Tom's. We got a few shots of Tom, and everybody else was their eyes rolling in the back of their head. They were just throwing up, and it was a disaster. So Tom put them in 4 different aircraft before they could actually turn the cameras on. And they worked really hard with them, and these kids got the hell beat out of them. They really did with the G-forces. And 1 G-force is your body weight. They were doing 7 times your body weight. It's like an elephant sitting on your chest, which we say in the movie. So, and they had to go through underwater training in case they had to eject, which is they dump them in the water, they blindfold them, they turn them upside down in a fuselage, they have to figure out how to get out. Tom did it again. He didn't have to, but he went and did it because the actors were doing it. He wanted to set a great example for everybody. So it was really, really hard. The actors had to take on an enormous task to make this movie. It wasn't just showing up and knowing your lines.
We looked at hundreds of actors to kind of narrow it down. So these group that made it through that process, very special group of people, really wanted it bad. Kind of knew what they were in for, but maybe not completely. I think now come out of this film with the experience of having made 10 films, getting to watch Tom do what he does. It's like no one else out there. I think they're all, on track for big careers after this.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and comment on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to be notified when new videos are released.